please, did you start the microphone, Jim? Okay. Speak in as close to the microphone as you can get, please.
I think it's an honor when any prospective appointee finds her name on a consent agenda, so I feel honored. And I'm here to honor the 22-member county board, whom I have not yet met as a newly comprised entity. I was here the December morning when many of the countywide elected officials took the oath of office, but this is the first time I've met this 22-member county board. Congratulations on your election and on serving the people. And here I am seeking reappointment to a body on which I've served. This will be my third opportunity for appointment. I'm not seeking appointment to a full term. And you might ask, why is she back? What does she want to keep on doing? I have a mission that has not yet been accomplished. And you might find in front of you some old memos. They're dated, some of them 2016, 2018. I continue to believe that the trustees who serve on the Urbana-Champaign Sanitary District are compensated higher than is appropriate. I think the $6,000 a year stipend for trustees of our sanitary district is a real outlier when you look at what board and commission members of other public bodies in our county receive. And I'm still looking for a second person to join me in this belief. And this might be coming, because I want to tell you what's new in the life of sanitary districts in our state. Following the 2020 federal census, in any sanitary district in the state in which one of the entities has a population that exceeds 90,000, then that sanitary district board shall comprise 5 members, not 3 members. Now, the city of Champaign is already very close to 90,000 in population, so it's quite likely that following the next census, you will be recruiting applicants and then appointing 5 trustees. So with 5 trustees, there might be something of a head of steam for us to reduce our compensation from the $6,000, which is legal. It's the maximum allowed, but we could vote to compensate ourselves at, say, $2,000 a year or $1,800 a year. Something else that's new with the Urbana-Champaign Sanitary District, we are a body that, like this body, now meets in the evening. Dating to January of this year, the district meets at 5:30 in the evening, on the second Tuesday of each month. And this was in response to public comment that it was not appropriate to be doing public business in the daytime when so many members of the public might not be able to observe. Since the change to evening meetings, we have not had much attendance, but we probably haven't done enough to publicize it. So one thing I'm doing here tonight is letting everyone know that we are an entity that now meets at 5:30 in the evening, still in the district office on East University Avenue. And it is a well-oiled machine, the sanitary district. It is a pleasure to serve on the district board. It's 500 of the hardest working people, those hardworking women and men in the hard hats and safety vests who do difficult labor in all kinds of Illinois weather. And there are hydrologists and environmental engineers and chemists and economists and biologists and people who do excellent work, making it very easy to be a trustee. It's not very difficult work. I don't even have a hard time choosing my wardrobe. This is what I wear to every meeting. It's my logo shirt that I'm proud to wear. And you'll find at your desks our logo again. I brought a hand sanitizer. appropriate giveaway for the Urbana-Champaign Sanitary District. Thank you for your potential support, and congratulations to all of you for election to a term on the county board. Thank you.
Thank you, Jenny. Does anyone else from the public wish to speak at this time? Okay, seeing none, I close public participation. Next is the consent agenda. We will need a roll call to approve the items on the consent agenda. Can I get a motion? Mr. Esri? Mr. Thorsland? Any discussion? Seeing none, those in favor? Those opposed? Oh, I'm sorry, roll call, back to roll call. I said that, didn't I?
Okay. Patterson? Storr? Summers? Taylor?
Yes.
Thorsland?
Yes.
Tinsley?
Yes.
Bachespati?
Yes.
Wolken? Young?
Yes.
Clemens?
Yes.
Clifford? Cowart?
Yes.
Esri?
Yes.
Furtado?
Yes.
Goss?
Yes.
Harper?
Yes.
Ingram?
Yes.
McGuire?
Yes.
Rosales?
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. Next is communications. Does any member of the board have communications? Mr. Patterson?
Just real quickly, I mentioned last week at the county courthouse, they've started a pro bono Ask a Lawyer desk, and I passed out a flyer that's got the schedule and the details of that program. So if there's somewhere you think it would be good to be placed, please do so. Spread the word.
Okay, anyone else? Mr. Storr?
Yes. On Saturday, June 22nd, at the Douglas Hart Nature Center in Mattoon, there'll be a beginner chainsaw safety and timber stand improvement workshop. And I have information. The workshop's going to be led by University of Illinois Extension Forestry, hosted by Lincoln Heritage, Resource Conservation and Development Council and partners. I have information for any who would like to attend.
Anything else? Okay, seeing none. Approval of the minutes. May I have a motion to approve the minutes? Mr. Rosales? Second, Mr. Clifford? Okay, the motion is to approve the minutes for the special meeting April 9th, 2019, the regular meeting April 18th, 2019, and the study session April 23rd, 2019. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Next is the county executive's annual report, and I'm going to turn the gavel over to Mr. Rosales.
No, I never used this hammer, but you better behave.
Okay, here I am sitting at the other end of the room. So the county executive is responsible for annually reporting to the county board on the affairs of the county. I've got one. Including its future financial needs, and prepares the annual county budget for board approval. So this is the report to the board for this year. I've only been in office for 6 months, but that's when it's required that I do it either in April or May. The financial report has been given in past and will continue to be given in April by the Deputy Director of Finance in my office. And it also includes the 5-year financial forecast, which is required. This will be the meeting for the other affairs of the county that I'm going to cover tonight. And then in June, we'll be doing the first draft of the Champaign County Strategic Plan, which will also be more detail on some of these issues. I'm giving you baseline information tonight. We're going to be covering later workforce recruitment and retention, facilities and technology, and revenues in our next meeting. of the county strategic plan. Okay, this next page is the county baseline county workforce data. So if you take a look here, you can see the number of employees that are approved by the county board through the salary structure in each of the positions for every elected official. And you will be able to see the total changes that have occurred since the election in November. And you will be able to see the number of people departing from the county. There were 9 who went to other county departments from the 32 that have departed. So they were inter-office transfers, basically. And then the other folks are no longer with the county. The percent of changes as of staff is in the last column. And then the next chart will show you the total count of employees. At the time I did this in 2018, the end of 2018 was 572 employees. That does not include the county nursing home. We left those out of the count. So 572 employees. The lowest age of any employee in the county was 17. The highest age was 82. That range might surprise you. The average age was 48, median age 44, and mode age 44. So what I'd like to say about this is that historically, there has been a higher turnover rate in even years. I don't think that would surprise anyone. Those are the election years. And so different folks turn over in terms of the deputies in the different departments, or maybe some folks just leave for other reasons. There's also beginning to be a highest concentration of departures with 5 to 15 years of tenure. That is reducing. Folks used to stay in the county for basically a lifetime sometimes. We have many, many employees that have been here for 20, 30 years. That's changing. We have a younger workforce now that's turning over faster. So between 5 and 15 years, people are looking for promotions or other opportunities after they have entry-level jobs or medium-level jobs. They're looking for other promotions. The upward trend over the past 10 years is the departure of tenured employees as well. So as I mentioned, we used to have a lot of employees that stayed here for 20 years, 30 years. A lot of those folks are retiring. We've had a lot of retirements this year and for the past couple of years. A snapshot of the county workforce data as of April 2019. I know that this board has been interested in the demographic makeup in terms of race, so I tried to give you that. This is the way that we collect the data in our current database, so it's not exactly the way the census collects the data, but you can see where we're at. And what I'd like to say is basically you can see that really where we're the most under is our Asian population. So the other ones are pretty close, but Asian we're low on that. This is the next one is the actual ages of employees. So 158 employees are under the age of 35. 207 are between the ages of 35 and 49. And 210 are over the age of 50. So that's of interest to the county because many of those people would be nearing retirement, or we need to be thinking about health insurance benefits, those kinds of things for all these different age groups. The county male-female makeup is 61% male and 39% female, so slightly less for females, which might surprise you because probably most of the folks you guys see in this building are more clerical folks, which would be overrepresented in females, as it just happens to be. We have a lot of maintenance workers and highway workers and other things that are predominantly male. So this is for the whole county, how that evens out. As you know, you guys get a monthly transaction report of our hires and vacant positions from my department as well. So that's your monthly report from me. The next slide is going to talk about county facilities inventory. For those of you that are on the facilities committee, you may have seen this already. These are the actual square footages and buildings that the county owns. There's some properties on there you may not recognize. Some of them are storage facilities or have been leased to other entities. And then the facilities folks manage 44 acres of land in terms of landscaping, maintenance, highways, parking lots, sidewalks. We're building a sidewalk, so you may have seen that when you come in. We are in year 1 of the 10-year deferred maintenance plan, which was approved by the county board in previous year, and we are trying to catch up with our needed facility projects. This plan, as has been mentioned before, does not include the downtown jail. The next page talks about the county information systems inventory. These are the multiple systems that the county owns in terms of IT services. As you can see, there's quite a few of them, And as you can also see, there's quite a few of them that have critical component concerns. Those are italicized. And I know there was concern about the election management system particularly. It is on that list. We are scheduled for upgrade for some of those that you may have heard at different meetings talking about DevNet or Kronos or the ERP program. Those are all in progress. We've started doing work on some of those, and they will correct some of these long-term issues, but there are still a lot out there. And that actually goes on for 2 pages. We do not have a long-term IT, what we would call deferred maintenance plan, similar to the facilities for deferred maintenance plan, so that we're trying to get started and get in progress, trying to work on that, because I think we need a plan like that we have for facilities. Champaign County government, back to the next one, is talking about revenues. This is the basic information about the revenue and how the county's revenue is divided. Important things for me to point out in this is that the top number on the chart, or the table, is the general corporate funds. That's primarily what the county board is responsible for allocating in its budget process for the operations of all of the county departments. The rest of those funds that are listed there are in many ways just considered pass-through funds to the county budget. So we receive, for example, mental health board taxes. They're for that specific purpose. They pass through the county to the mental health board for decisions about how to spend them. So that really is pass-through money for us. So in a budget of $123 million, you can see that what the county board is really got to work with is about $38 million. And you can see expenditures by fund type in the table as well. It's both ways. I tried to do it in the table and visual. People have learning different ways of liking information presented, so this just shows it in 2 different ways. The monthly year-to-date financial information, of course, Tammy gives you in the monthly reports. The next page is the interfund transfers for the nursing home expenses. The nursing home sale has been finalized, of course. This is the transfers that were made in the past 2 or 3 years regarding the nursing home that were promised to be paid back to the general fund or these other funds, which include insurance funds, workers' comp funds, IMRF benefit funds, the general fund, etc. So you'll see that's quite a large number. We still have, when we sold the nursing home, we had 33 residents that had not been approved yet for Medicaid. They were pending at that time. We had completed applications, but as you know, the state takes a long time to do the approvals. And since the time of the sale, we've had 14 of them approved, and we still have 19 to go. The next page, I'm going back to the statutory responsibilities of my office. The county administration executes the board's resolutions through day-to-day coordination of and support of the county elected officials. So the things that we've done to date are orientation of newly elected county officials, which happens every couple of years, administration, facilities, and IT support. Recent things that we've been involved with or completed have been the HR support for supervisors, Art Bartell Road sidewalk, which you can see if you go out the back door is still in progress, the new courthouse parking gate and public storage lockers, and the upgraded Kronos payroll software, which should be rolled out by July. Due to significant staff turnover, we've provided temporary staff and training for the clerk's office for the 2000 municipal elections and tax cycle activities. As many of you know, there was a pretty significant staff turnover in that office, and it just so happened that the county's IT director has been the only expert left in the county that knows how to do some of those things, so he's been working in that office for the last 5 months. Oversight of departments not under the other officials, and you can see what those are listed around the circle of the diagram. Many of those, they all have directors or their own boards, but their staff report to the county administration, and so they come through my office. And then we finalize the county nursing home sale. The Office of the County Executive also has other responsibilities. The Public Information Officer, we don't have an office to do public information, so that falls to my office. I am the Liquor Commissioner for the county. Under my office, under the Facilities Director, falls the Aggregated Utility Program. I'm a representative of the county at community events, which role is also performed sometimes by the county board chair, or I'm sure other county board members sometimes do that. And then I'm the FOIA officer for all of the administrative kind of things. Next, this other statutory responsibilities would be county appointments. I appoint persons to serve on terms of office. The ones listed there are ones that I have appointed to date. There are approximately 130 appointments throughout the year. We've made 47 of them so far. Only 3 of those had vacancies with multiple applicants. All the rest had 1 applicant only. And I just want to say a little bit right here. This is I know it came up at the last meeting, and it's come up a couple of other times about wanting to diversify some of these boards a little bit. And I would like to just share with the board something that I've noticed. So when the board is seated after the election, the board members are asked to sign up for committees and boards that they would be responsible for being the liaison to from the board. So there are a lot of committees and boards in the county. There are actually 19 boards that are available that the county executive appoints, and there are 4 boards available that are liaison non-voting appointments that the county board chair appoints. And of those, so that makes 23. There are 22 board members, and so everyone kind of, if it works out evenly, should maybe sign up for one of those. On this board, there are 7 persons of color, and 3 did not choose to be appointed for any board whatsoever. 3 asked to be appointed to boards that were already represented by minorities quite well, and so only 1 ended up on a board that had no minority representation. So I'm just mentioning that because that's something that's in the direct control of the board. You guys were, many of you were new, and so maybe didn't think about that when the appointments were taking place. But just to let you know, that's something that we could do in a couple years, try again, and maybe the board itself could participate in some of those new boards that they would like to have more minority representation on. Next is the Office of the County Executive with the board meetings. I preside over the board meetings, as you all know, I'm here. We've done 1 organizational meeting, 6 monthly meetings, 3 special meetings, and 4 study sessions so far. Also, it's my responsibility to work with, provide the administrative support to put together the meetings, so the administrative assistants and those kind of things do some of the, put together all the agendas, and we also provide a lot of training. So I've completed trainings on Open Meetings Act, FOIA, ADA, and parliamentary procedure, and you'll see some of the statistics of the things that the administrative staff does also in my HR report for the month. To date, I know people have been concerned about this. So far, for the first 6 months of my term, I have concurred with all of the board resolutions and broken no tie votes. Those are things that the county executive is also responsible for. And I just wanted to make that note that so far that's where we stand on those. Also, intergovernmental agreements. With the board's approval, the executive signs intergovernmental agreements on behalf of the county. So we've entered into 2 intergovernmental agreements that benefit our county. One was for animal spaying and neutering with the animal control folks, and one was for hazardous waste recycling, which was a intergovernmental agreement that was a kind of an expansion of some things that we had done in past with some partners. I also represent the county on some other intergovernmental agreements that have not come up yet for renewal, or they're just are continuing because the county participates. The Willard Airport Advisory Committee, the Champaign-Ford Regional Office of Education, Geographic Information Systems Consortium, Local Emergency Planning Committee, METCAD, Metropolitan Intergovernmental Council, Regional Emergency Coordination Group, and the Workforce Innovation and Opportunities Area 17. I just mentioned those because some of you may or may not be aware that we're involved with all of those things. Next is economic development. The executive represents the county in promoting economic growth in a thriving community. These are the activities which my office has done. I personally have done many of these so far. This is something that was perhaps a weakness before when the county didn't have a representative that represented the whole county except for the board chair who did do some of these activities but maybe didn't have enough time to do a lot of them. So I went to do some legislative advocacy in Springfield. I participated in some intergovernmental meetings that are reviewing local TIF districts and enterprise zones. The county needs to participate in those if local jurisdictions establish them. And so there's periodic review meetings to see if they want to be continued or how they're working. I've joined the Economic Development Board, completed training on emergency preparedness and watersheds because those are things that affect our county and I need to be prepared if there is an emergency in our county. I discussed international trade with the European Union ambassador. That was sort of fun. I serve now on the Champaign Community Coalition and the New American Welcome Center Advisory Boards. And these are things that are in progress that are maybe we are just in the planning stages, or we've started thinking about, or that we started investigating but haven't necessarily gotten far enough to bring some of them to the board. Some of them are coming to the board very soon. So mentioning them. One is partnerships with student involvement in various aspects of county business. The first one that you will probably see is the Economic Consulting Student Group will be coming to our next strategic planning meeting, and they have done a couple of projects for analysis of things that are going on in the county. I have started, as of this month, quarterly executive outreach meetings with township, village, commission, and district officials, mostly in the more rural parts of the county, obviously, but just offering the opportunity quarterly to get together with them and meet with them. Most of these are elected officials, but some of them I appoint, like the drainage district people or whatever. They're all officials, and it's an opportunity for just them. I'm calling quarterly meetings. If they would like to come and talk about issues, we can do that. I will have a presence at community events and parades. I've also already started doing that a couple of times with some community events, the Developmental Disabilities Expo, different things like that, to just put in a county appearance. I'm interested in those things, so it's a joy to go, but I just wanted you to know that you're being represented in the county at some of those things. Proposal for upgrading property assessment software. That's something the county's been talking about for a while. Some of you have heard about CAMA. That will be coming before the board soon for your approval in terms of the software and whatever kind of arrangement we're having with the local townships. An offer to join Vermilion County and local municipalities in a land bank. That's something that ELEC will be considering at their next meeting. Additional online and on-site staff it's called upskilling now. It's not called staff training or staff development. The appropriate politically correct term now is upskilling. Monthly supervisor training offered at both Brookins and the courthouse, and a pilot employee assistance program for the remainder of 2019. All of those things have already started and are beginning to roll out. An interdepartmental grant proposal for neighborhood nuisance cleanup projects around the county. The Regional Planning Commission will be submitting this grant proposal, and we'll be partnering with various other county departments to do some of those projects. Exploration of an intergovernmental agreement with Urbana to share IT support services. We've just begun tentative conversations about that. Oh, I'm sorry, back up here. I don't know how to go back. I don't know how to go back. Next, previous. Whoops. Okay. I was doing so well. Shoot. Now I got it mixed up. This one? That one? That one? Oh, okay. Okay, sorry. All right, and then the last one is exploration of an intergovernmental agreement with Champaign. They've been talking about their Champaign Diversity Advancement Program in the community lately, and I would be interested in investigating that more to see about recruiting and mentoring with local minority women and veteran-owned businesses in the county. So those are just things in progress. And then, of course, the last thing that's in progress that will be coming out in June is the draft of a 6-year county governance strategic plan tied to both the financial forecast, the facility and IT needs, the department goals, and the board priorities. And the board's been participating in that, so you're well aware of that one. So that's the end of my report, and I hope it was informative, and would be happy to entertain a couple questions if you want. I don't want to spend too much more time, but.
Chris, you have a question?
On page 5, I was looking at the county facilities inventory, and I noticed you had something listed as nursing home storage.
Yes.
Is that different from the nursing home? Do we retain that?
Yes, we have to keep all the records from when we owned the nursing home. So that will be in storage for a long time.
Okay. One other thing. I was curious about one of the last pages, an offer to join Vermilion County and local municipalities in a land bank to return to the private market properties that end up in county ownership. Is that something that you'd want to speak to right now, or is that something coming along?
That'll be coming, it's going to ELUC at the next meeting, their next ELUC meeting. It'll be discussed in pretty good detail. It's a proposal that Vermilion County would like to join with Champaign County to expand the land bank. And Rantoul is very interested as a municipality, so they want to move into Champaign County. The county may or may not decide to join, but it's just an offer that's out there. The idea is that the county ends up owning probably 3 to 5 properties a year because of legal action that needs to be taken against absent landowners or properties that are not being cared for or taxes aren't being paid. So that goes into a lawsuit, and then after the lawsuit, the county actually owns the property. And we do have sometimes sales to sell that property. Some of them don't sell. So this is another way of trying to market them and get them sold.
Any further questions, Charles, for Darlene?
Thank you. In regards to all the slides that's dealing with the role of the executive, county executive, and the statutory responsibility, I'm just curious, did you pull this information from our county board rule book?
No, I took it out of the statute, the Illinois statute.
Illinois statute, okay, because I don't know, I'm seeing some contradiction with the county board rule book, the manual that we have, along with the statute. I'm comparing Will County, our old county board rules, and something's not matching up in regards of the responsibility of what I'm getting out of it from the county executive.
Okay.
In regards of mainly with the county executive policy book.
Okay.
So there's some
I'd be happy to refer
inconsistencies.
you to the Illinois statute, and you can read it directly from the statute.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Charles. And Chris, are there any further questions, comments for Darlene regarding the presentation? I do have, if nobody else has a question, I do have one, and since we're already on page 5, we could turn to page 4. And do we track individuals with disability, Darlene? And do we track veterans as we begin to report these numbers?
We do try, we ask, it's basically self-reporting. And so whether people answer the question or not is up to them. But when we do employment information, when we're going through the hiring process, we ask that question as part of the application, but not everyone fills it out. And we're not allowed to ask about disability or anything like that in the interviews.
Okay.
We obviously know that we have some employees that are disabled or veterans, but that's, again, not information we necessarily have. If they don't want to tell us, they don't have to.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Great. Well, we'll close the session as budgetary briefings, and I'll give this heavy-ass gavel to to Darlene. I'm sorry, pardon my English here. I just got carried away. My apologies, totally.
Okay, we're moving on to standing committees. So the summary of action taken from the county facilities meeting, the environmental and land use meeting, and the highway and transportation meeting are accepted and placed on file. And the summary of action taken from the committee of the whole is accepted and placed on file. And we're down to finance. Will the finance chair please make the committee's recommendation for item 1?
Darlene, this is on the new yellow sheet,
Yep.
correct? Okay, I move as for adoption of resolution number 2019-131, establishing the budget process for Champaign County for fiscal year 2020.
Okay, do I have a second? Ms. Furtado? Any discussion? Mr. Goss?
Yeah, I will be voting no again on this. I do not believe that we should put any one county official's request at this time ahead of any other county officials, so I will be voting no again.
Anyone else? Ms. Furtado?
Just really briefly, I apologize if I was confusing as to where it was supposed to be. It just, the reason there's another one is in the original packet, it was in a different section from where I had intended to put it and where I think we did put it. But I want to thank the county executive, Tammy and Kay, who went out of their way to listen to what was said and to correct it. So thank you very much for all that, because I know in your busy schedules, y'all did a really nice job on that. Thank you.
I'd also like to make a comment.
Mr. McGuire?
Thank you. I feel somewhat the same way. I'd like all departments, elected officials to have an open and honest opportunity to present their budgets in a clear manner. I know that elections are important, but there are a lot of important departments. It's important to have fair trials. It's important to have a jail that's safe and secure for the people that are there. It's important for sheriff's deputies to have proper vehicles. It's important for us to have safe counties. It's important that we have a youth assessment center. All those things are very important, and we need everybody to be able to feel like they're being treated equally throughout the county as they bring their budgets to the county. Thank you.
Okay, are we ready to vote? Do you want to say something else, Jim?
Yeah, I request a roll call.
Okay, will the clerk call the roll, please?
Patterson,
Yes.
Store,
Yes.
Summers. Taylor,
Yes.
Thorsland,
Yes.
Tinsley,
Yes.
Bachespati,
Yes.
Wolken,
No.
Young,
No.
Clemens,
No.
Clifford,
No.
Cowart,
Ms. Coward?
Cowart, I'm sorry.
Yes, it was a yes.
Sorry. Eisenman. Oh, he's not here. Esri,
No.
Furtado. Goss,
No.
Harper,
No.
Ingram,
Yes.
King Taylor. Not here. McGuire. Rosales.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Next is policy, personnel, and appointments. Will the policy, personnel, and appointments chair please read the committee's recommendation for item 1?
Thank you. I move the adoption of resolution number 2019-132, appointing Paul Saylor to the Board of Review, term 6/1/2019-5/31/2022.
Can I get a second? Mr. Goss? Any discussion? Mr. Summers?
As I had stated at the CAL, I'm going to be withholding. Sorry, thank you. As I stated at the CAL, I'm going to be withholding my vote on these appointments. Dr. Young had requested the opportunity to come to the interviews for these, and I believe that would provide additional information to the board. But in no way do I want to suggest that this appointment process is clearly the prerogative of our county executive. I just feel that it would provide additional information for the board in terms of our giving advice on these appointments.
Okay, Mr. Young?
Yes, well said, Summers. I'm planning on voting no with all of these. I think that this county board, or with these appointments, need to really consider the voices of the people and be more inclusive, thoughtful, consider our feelings, as opposed to, because I did not get on this county board just to be dictated. And that's how I'm feeling, I'm just being honest. So I think it's only fair that we find a way to some kind of common ground, consensus building, as opposed to my way or the highway. I don't think that's right. So that's how I feel. So I'm planning on voting no for all of these. Thank you.
Ms. Wolken?
I appreciate the concerns that you have both expressed as far as the county executive making these decisions. But again, it is her decision, and it is not our place to micromanage her job any more than it is to micromanage the other departments in this county. Where does it stop? If we want to be a part of this interview process, do we start wanting to be a part of every interview process of every department that hires a new person? I don't think that makes sense. So, thank you.
Mr. Storr?
Thank you. First, to address Ms. Wilkins' comment, since we're voting on this, I am partial to Mr. Young's, Dr. Young's interest in wanting to be more, find out more about the persons who are seeking approval, which we will shortly vote on. But however, I did have a communication from one of my constituents regarding the first appointment to the Board of Review. And he pointed out that the Board of Review did not inform the assessors of decisions regarding hearings, of which especially problematic one was with the Order of St. Francis decision. And whereas the late notice of appeal, that decision was reported to the news to the News Gazette, the assessors didn't get any information about that. I think I would have enjoyed to ask the applicant about why the Board of Review does not communicate with the assessors as part of their work.
Mr. Goss?
Yes, how many applicants were there for each of these positions?
One.
Yeah, there you go, because people, especially these community water boards, these are very small towns. They're in the rural community. Just getting people to show up and volunteer for these is a big deal. Now, you can talk about the Board of Review, but there are qualifications to be on that as well. It's not something, you have one applicant, it was noticed, it was advertised, and you still have one applicant. These small rural communities, getting people to serve on these boards is a big deal because they just, people don't have time. So do what you want to do, but you're likely to have no representation on these boards.
Okay, Mr. Thorson?
Yeah, a few things on this particular one, the first one, but I want to start with echoing what you've been hearing from a lot of people. Earlier on during your presentation, you pointed out that you would like more members of the board to step up and serve on some of these committees as liaisons. I'm on the Lincoln Legacy one, and it's actually an enjoyable experience. And so in that same token that you asked that we participate in a lot of these things in the decision-making for these appointments, we talked about this at the COW, that it might be appropriate to consider having the policy and personnel appointments, the chair and the vice chair, attend these interviews, even if there is only one applicant. It's an opportunity to ask questions before they come before us. We get their application in the packet, but it's different than an interaction with people, a discussion. So I have support there. I want to go forward and say that I think that that's something that we should consider as the board works with the executive to advise and consent to your appointments. I had a citizen concern about the particular appointment of Mr. Saylor. And it was not just what Chris Storrs said. You know, some of these assessors found out reading in the newspaper the meeting and the decision that was made. And while we appreciate that the News Gazette gets that word out there, that's probably something that they should have found out before they had their coffee in their hand in the morning. The other concern that I heard about was that this office is not an insignificant amount of compensation to serve on what amounts to a part-time board. The pay is high. It's, I believe, $40,000 a year. There was a service often provided, even in the days before the internet, where the people in this office would help find comps, comparable properties for other people while they were preparing their review. They now send these people to services outside of the office. And I think that that's something that would be a concern to me. We pay them fairly, and we would expect some work. Certainly, all of us do a fair amount of reading to come here and get our gas money for the county board meetings. I served on the Zoning Board of Appeals for 10 years, and I probably spent 7 or 8 hours reading for a very small stipend. I agree with Mr. Goss. Some of these smaller districts, we have something that Mr. Goss said, at the COW, a cemetery board, and the applicant is a person whose family is in the cemetery. And so I can appreciate them stepping forward. These are not often as easy things as you think. But I don't know that I can support Mr. Saylor's appointment, mostly because I don't know enough about it. I didn't get any information except what's in the packet. And members of the committee that are supposed to participate in this weren't part of the process, whether it's one applicant or 10 in the interview process. So that's where I'm at with this particular situation, and it may bleed over into some others. Thank you.
Okay.
Comments? Oh, sorry. I didn't hear.
Most of what I had to say, Mr. Thorsland actually pretty well outlined. I do share the similar concern, I guess it is, that even though we only had one applicant for this particular spot, with that amount of money and apparently less service than that board used to provide when it comes to pulling comps for people, that probably would have been something that I would have liked somebody to have asked. And we've had people ask you questions so far. I don't know if it's okay for me to ask if that was something that you discussed at all, since that seems to be what has been a citizen complaint from more than one person. I've actually had a constituent reach out to me about that exact issue. So I don't know if that's something that came up during the interview, and if you'd like to say or not, you're obviously welcome to not. But I'm curious as to whether or not that's something, because maybe this is one of the only, if they don't have to really listen to citizens when they make their own, if they make that change or they make their own rules, maybe one of the only places that citizens have the chance to voice that concern then would be in a situation like this. And I think that's important if that's something that used to be provided that isn't anymore.
Technically, I'm not supposed to be involved in the conversation at the board. I'm chairing the meeting, so I'm not in the
I move
discussion.
to suspend the rules to allow Executive Kleppel to respond to Mr. Ingham's question.
Been moved and seconded, Mr. Vasserspacci and Mr. Thorsland, to suspend the rules to allow the executive to speak in the discussion. Those in favor? Those opposed? I may speak now. I do consider quite a variety of things when I do the interviews with people, and I do try to ask about those kinds of things. So if I'm not aware of an issue that has occurred in past, I obviously wouldn't know to ask about that. As I keep saying, I'm happy to hear from the board if you have those concerns, and then I would ask about it. It is, I'm certainly willing to consider whatever input I get.
Great. Yeah, I mean, as we've been discussing, some of these, especially in the rural areas, are, they're very hard to fill. This one at what seems to be $40,000 a year for a part-time position, we may not be too hard up to find somebody else for it. But that's kind of what I was curious about. Again, you know, if we're talking about the ability for citizens to reach out to potentially us or to a policy chair because they have a problem with somebody who's being appointed, who then, you know, they don't have any say over the person's, you know, job activity or anything like that. But then when it comes time to the appointment, this may be the one area where they have some agency to speak up or to request changes. So, so while I understand that you're also saying that you would take board input on that, you know, I think as we're trying to iron any of this kind of stuff out, you know, the more time that we have in advance and the more information and whatnot that we have before you know, before you would even interview would be, I mean, it would kind of be great if the board or the policy chair or somebody like that had potential to weigh in on that for that specific purpose, as I think
Right.
we're saying.
So the opportunities would be currently for the board starts 2 months before the appointment is vacant to start putting out notices. So it comes out in, like, for example, in the county board committee of the whole, there's a list of upcoming appointments to be made. It goes out to the media, it's posted on the bulletin board. So at that point in time, if the board would know of a reason why I should or shouldn't, or there's an issue, that would be appropriate time to let me know. The one thing that could be changed, I think, is that at one point in the past, one of the county board chairs did not actually make the appointment until the actual meeting of the COW. He listed all the people, but did not actually state who he was choosing. And I could do that because that would give the board the time between when they get the packet with all the applications to see the names and see if there was anybody in particular they didn't like, and then let me know about that, or anybody they wanted to support for that matter. So that I could change that. That would be easy to say, I just won't announce who the appointee is until the actual meeting. That gives you an extra week to give me input. So I'm willing to do that.
I appreciate the replies. Thanks.
Mr.
Thanks.
McGuire?
Yeah, I have a real problem with people on the board trying to force take responsibility away from the executive, who has a statutory responsibility to find the people that are supposed to be filling these positions, and interfering with this process. We have a responsibility to decide whether we want to advise and consent on these positions, not the responsibility to find them. We're interfering with this process. You're interfering with our ability to vote for this process. You're interfering with the committees themselves' ability to do that. It's her responsibility statutorily to do this. You're putting pressure on her to fill it by refusing to vote for the person or not vote, not based on whether the people are credible candidates for it, the position. That's the only option you have. Like she said, she's giving you every opportunity to help try to find somebody, but you're not following through with our responsibility. You're just trying to hold up the vote based on this need or want to have additional responsibilities in picking the person, which you don't have statutorily.
Mr. Esri, do you have a different point to make?
I have a question for you, Darlene. On the Board of Review, if this person isn't appointed, so I assume then that there's an open seat. I believe on some committees that we've made appointments to before, if, say we haven't even been able to find an applicant, if the person was willing, obviously, the person whose term was up, you know, or say has just continued to serve. But in this case, do you know what would happen? And with, say, the water districts, what would happen if we don't? Would they just sit open, or would anybody continue to serve in either the Board of Review or the water boards that are in front of us tonight?
Some of the boards do have a policy in their bylaws that say they will continue to serve until the next person is appointed, and some of them have a specific deadline. I'd have to go and look on each one. Mr. Vashaspati.
Yeah, I spoke to Wayne Williams, who's the Cunningham Township assessor, last week, and he said that the Board of Review is like that. So basically, regardless of how we vote, Mr. Saylor would continue to, attend these meetings. Of course, if we voted no, then there would still be that vacancy to which, people could apply.
Mr. Young?
Thank you. One, wait, I'm gonna lose my train of thought. Sorry about that. Okay. So I never witnessed anything in regards of interviewing where one person just interview by themselves. I'm not used to that. That's foreign to me. I'm not saying that it doesn't take place, but in my past experience, I never really witnessed nothing like that. Now, there's a process where you would interview with a group of people there, one candidate. Then eventually, the final decision may be made with that whoever the boss is or the supervisor. I've seen that process before, but this before, I never seen it before. And number two, the policy and rules actually state that's why I was asking the questions about where you pulling your information from, because as what I read, there's some contradiction in regards of the role of the chair of the committee and a lot of other things. Now, what I read was it said and I'm pretty much paraphrasing. I don't have the rule book in front of me, but it mentioned about the chair advising some of these candidates. They give advice out. And there's also other language in there that indicates more with the committee chairs doing more with these applicants, with these candidates. So I find that problematic, and that's an issue. And like I said, and I really wish that you would have attended the UCCI, because they mentioned about, and Lorraine was there, about when you run a county board or any institution or job environment, you try to make your leaders, you meet them where they at, and you make them feel important and valued. And I'm not feeling it, so I'm just being honest with you. So just rubber stamping everything. Oh, and another thought just came to me was in regards of, I'm a type of person, and I'm pretty much sure if everybody agreed to this, you have to be able to see people. At least that's my experience. That's one way of learning and knowing, as opposed to a piece of paper. Okay, so I am a qualitative researcher. Qualitative researcher interview, talk to people. There's information more than just paper. Information evolved by interaction with people and seeing the vibe of people. And if I'm going to be transparent as an elected official, I think it's only fair if I go back and talk to my constituents. Well, I don't know who the person is other than some paper. So I'm beyond paper. And I already know laws and whatever, like I said, the policy and rules ain't too clear anyhow with me. So we can always amend and change things. Politicians revise laws every day. They change laws every day. So, and one last thing, can we do a roll call with all of these, with these appointments? I'm requesting a roll call with each one. Thank you.
Do we have a second for a roll call? Second by McGuire. All right, let's vote. Those in favor, say take the roll call, please.
Aye, sorry.
This is for the first candidate, Paul Saylor, to be on the Board of Review.
Patterson,
No.
Store,
No.
Summers,
No.
Taylor,
No.
Thorsland,
No.
Tinsley,
No.
Batchespati,
No.
Wolken,
Yes.
Young,
No.
Clemens,
Yes.
Clifford,
Yes.
Cowart, Furtado. Oh, sorry, wait. Esri,
Yes.
Furtado,
No.
Goss,
Yes.
Harper,
Yes.
Ingram,
Nope.
McGuire,
Yes.
Rosales.
That'll be a no for me.
The motion is lost. Please read the committee's recommendation for item 2.
Okay. I move the adoption of resolution number 2019-133, appointing David Hudson to the Dewey Community Public Water District Board, term 6/1/2019-5/31/2024.
Second by Ms. Cowart. Discussion? Okay, we're ready for a roll call vote. He asked for a roll call
Roll
on all
call.
of them.
Keep going.
That'd be good practice for
Patterson,
Yes.
Storr,
Yes.
Summers,
No. No.
Taylor,
Yes.
Thorsland,
Yes.
Tinsley,
Yes.
Batchespati,
Yes.
Wolken,
Yes.
Young,
No.
Clemens,
Yes.
Clifford,
Yes.
Cowart, thank you. Esri,
Yes.
Furtado, Goss,
Yes.
Harper,
Yes.
Ingram,
Yes.
McGuire,
Yes.
Rosales.
That'll be a yes for me.
The motion carries. Please read the committee's recommendation for item 3.
Okay. I move the adoption of resolution number 2019-134, appointing Elizabeth Cropper to the Pennsfield Water District Board, term 6/1/2019-5/31/2024.
Mr. Storr has a second. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Patterson,
Yes.
Storr,
Yes.
Summers,
No.
Taylor,
Yes.
Thorsland,
Yes.
Tinsley,
Yes.
Batchespati,
Yes.
Wolken,
Yes.
Young,
No.
Clemens,
Yes.
Clifford,
Yes.
Cowart,
Yes.
Esri,
Yes.
Furtado, Goss,
Yes.
Harper,
Yes.
Ingram,
Yes.
McGuire,
Yes.
Rosales.
Yes.
Motion carries. Please read the committee's recommendations for item 4.
I move the adoption of resolution number 2019-135, appointing Dick Wilfong to the Plainfield Water District term 6/1/2019-5/31/2024.
Did I get a second? Mr. Esri? Any discussion? Take a roll call vote, please.
I'm sorry, who seconded it? Oh, thank you. Patterson,
Yes.
Store,
Yes.
Summers,
No.
Taylor,
Yes.
Thorsland,
Yes.
Tinsley,
Yes.
Bachaspati,
Yes.
Wolken,
Yes.
Young,
No.
Clemens,
Yes.
Clifford,
Yes.
Cowart,
Yes.
Esri,
Yes.
Furtado, Goss,
Yes.
Harper,
Yes.
Ingram,
That's going to be a yes.
McGuire,
Yes. Thank you.
Rosales.
Yes.
Motion carries. Okay, we're on to new business. Can I get a motion for adoption of resolution number 2019-136, authorizing payment of claims? Mr. Rosales, Ms. Furtado? Any discussion? Mr. Goss?
Yes, I'd like to know, I mean, normally we approve these and they're $5 to $6 million a month. This one's $20 million. I can't find any documentation of what the $20 million is. Can't find it on a website. I mean, we don't have an updated May auditor's report. We don't have an updated treasurer's report since February. I have no idea where this $20 million is going, so I will be voting no.
Any more discussion? Those in favor?
I'd like a roll call.
Mr. McGuire has asked for a roll call vote. Do we have a second for that? Mr. Clemens? Okay, roll call vote, please. This requires a simple majority.
Patterson.
Thank you.
I love this. This is awesome. All right, Store,
Yes.
Summers,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Thorsland,
Yes.
Tinsley,
Yes.
Bachaspati,
Yes.
Wolken,
Yes.
Young,
Yes.
Clemens,
No.
Clifford,
No.
Cowart,
Yes.
Esri,
No.
Furtado, Goss,
No?
Harper,
No.
Ingram,
Yes.
McGuire,
No.
Rosales.
Motion carries. Can I get a motion for adoption of resolution 2019-137, authorizing purchases not following purchasing policy? Mr. Ingram? Second, Mr. Tinsley. Any discussion? Seeing none, those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Who is the nay? Oh, okay. Motion passes. Can I get a motion for adoption of resolution number 2019-1-118, approving award of contract to Advanced Commercial Roofing of Champaign, Illinois, pursuant to ITB 2019-002 for the JDC roof replacement?
So moved.
I'm sorry, Mr. Tinsley,
Tinsley. I'll second it.
Mr. Harper? Any discussion? Mr. Esri?
We do have, Mr. Brenner is here, I suppose if we wanted to ask him
Yep.
questions.
Mr. Summers?
Just to point out, this bid did come in under our estimate.
Okay, no further discussion. This requires a simple majority. Those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Can I get a motion for adoption of ordinance number 2019-7, establishing civil fees and criminal and traffic assessments to be charged by the Champaign County Clerk of the Circuit Court? This was distributed to you, and the motion is by Mr. Patterson, second by Mr. Goss. Discussion? Mr. Vachespati?
Yeah, this was sort of a lot of information to take in at COW. We don't really know how the funds, how the distribution of the funds is going to shake out after fee waivers and so forth. I spoke to the circuit clerk right before this meeting, and with a suggestion for sort of an amendment so that makes sure we keep track of what's going on. So, and she seemed amenable to that. So the amendment I want to offer is that 6 months following the effective date of this ordinance, the circuit clerk shall provide a report on net distributions to the funds affected by this ordinance.
Okay, the amendment has been made by Mr. Do you have that in writing, Parshal?
I can write that down.
Could you give the clerk?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And, and just the
Second by Mr. Tinsley. Go ahead.
yeah, and that's again just to sort of make sure we know what's going on. The circuit clerk has said she's already providing this information to the state, so that just makes sure we get a copy of the information as well.
Okay. So we're going to vote on the, you want to discuss the amendment, Jim? Do you want to discuss the amendment? Okay. We're ready to vote on the amendment. So can we add that to the motion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Mr. Harper is opposed, okay. The amendment carried. So we go back to the original motion with the amendment. Are we ready for finishing discussion on that? Okay, those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Okay, item E, the county clerk report on the tax cycle. This is for information only, and you do have an addendum also regarding this, which just basically says he's giving this as information only. So, Mr. Ammons, would you like to step to the podium?
All right, good evening, everyone. How you all doing? Oh, just one person, huh? I understand. Love is still my religion too, Brother Charles. All right, so I'm just gonna give a quick introduction. My name is Aaron Ammons. I am the Champaign County Clerk, and I want to thank the County Executive, Ms. Kleppel, and the Chair, Chair Rosales, for adding me to the agenda. I came tonight to give some brief comments about the tax cycle and address questions and comments that were raised by board members that pertain to the clerk's office. So, I also want to know, that's perfect. I want to thank, sitting to my left is Miss Jenna Sakinius. She is also in the tax division. She was one of the people who was swimming in taxes for the last 4 or 5 months. And she knows how to do the butterfly, the backstroke, and all those. Y'all got to lighten up a little bit, right? Also, AJ Jimenez, who is not here tonight, but AJ has also come on board and been just outstanding in the tax department. And I have to say thank you for the invaluable assistance from Andy Rhodes, who is the county IT director. He has been, I do have to make a slight correction, though. He has not been in my office for 5 months. He's been down there helping out for about 2 months. But it's been extremely helpful, for sure. I also need to thank Kelly Pfeiffer and Terry Carter, who initially filled the void in the tax division and gave it their best effort until AJ and Jenna took over. So last but not least, I want to thank the county executive, Ms. Darlene Kleppel, for partnering with my office and working out a way for Andy Rhodes to spend the necessary time training our new tax staff and helping us through our first tax cycle. And although he's a Cardinal fan, he has been a godsend to us and the taxpayers of Champaign County. Look, all of these individuals have gone above and beyond in their roles to help us through our first tax cycle with the county, and I just wanted to recognize their efforts and to thank them publicly. Now, speaking to the questions and comments about getting the tax bills out on time, these are some of the things I want you all to consider, the changes that took place this year. In the 5.5 months since being elected Champaign County Clerk, I have come to learn a great deal about the tax cycle and the role the county clerk's office plays in that process. As most of you are aware, I have all new staff in my tax division, and you may also be aware that before I took office, 17 years of tax experience walked out the door. Most of you are also aware that before I took the office, the county board voted to have a new software program, aka DevNet, that helps process the tax extension calculations from our office. This was done to replace the antiquated AS400 program and was scheduled to be implemented during this tax cycle. So during this tax cycle, we also received the multiplier from the Department of Revenue almost a month later than we have in the last several tax cycles. In the last 5 years, our office has never, I want you to go to the next slide, I want you to see that. So I don't know if, well, it looks a little too small for you all to see up there, but I think Andy sent around to the county board this particular graph. Now what this shows you, and I wish you could see it clearer, but in 2014, the abstract was sent to the Department of Revenue on February 24th of 2015 for the year of 2014, and the multiplier was received on 3/23 of 2015. In 2015, the abstract was sent 3/16 for 2015. The abstract was sent 3/16/2016 and received 3/28/2016. For the 2016, the abstract was sent on 2/24/2017 and received on 4/4/2017, about a month and a half. Then for the 2017 year, it was sent on 2/8/18 and received on 2/27/18. This year, we sent the abstract 2/21/2019 and received it on 4/25/2019, more than 2 months after we sent the abstract in. Never had that been an issue in the last 5 years. So I just wanted you all to be aware of the changes in this cycle. Please go to the next one. Hey, Corey. Taking medicine for my back, and for some reason it's making me extra thirsty. All right, so I showed you all the graph, and in fact, I was just at a meeting for the State Board of Elections Monday of this week, and I attended that meeting because of the changes and possibilities of things that are coming down the pike, but I had an opportunity to talk to another clerk who's still waiting on her multiplier. Still waiting on the multiplier. That's how long it's taken the Department of Revenue to get this information out to the clerks. So I want to make sure that everyone is clear about the new staff, new software, and the delayed multiplier from the state. And I'm saying that in hopes of having accurate information shared with the taxpayers, the media, or amongst yourselves. These are not excuses. These are the facts. So Jenna, AJ, Andy, and even other staff worked tirelessly to get the tax rates to the treasurer as soon as we possibly could. In fact, once we received the multiplier, we turned the rates over to the treasurer's office quicker than they did in the past. The staff put in long hours, and the chief deputy and I facilitated the process at every turn. So when county board members Clemens and Goss questioned the timeline of the tax bills during a public meeting, and Jim Goss made the statement during the committee of the whole, quote, "It's about the people, it's about the people. They have new software and they still can't get the tax bills out on time," end quote. It became clear to me that we needed more education and conversations about how the tax cycle works within the county, the role of the county clerk, assessor, and treasurer, as well as the impact the new software is having on each office. So I want to take a few minutes to explain the tax cycle. So I'm just giving you the county's part of it. This is a summary, an overview, because there are other departments that are not here, such as the township assessor and the Department of Revenue, and someone from the Board of Review. Is someone from the Board of Review here? Okay, great. So first, The township assessor goes out and gives you the assessed values of the county. So all the township assessors go out and do that, turn them over to the county assessors. The county assessor then processes those numbers, the value, and gives you the estimated, the EAV. I'm not gonna try to talk. Equalized assessed value, okay. Then the EAV is given to the Board of Review. The Board of Review does a process there. I can't tell you I can explain everything that the Board of Review does, but they get it after the county assessor does. And then together or alone, the assessor or the Board of Review sends it to the Department of Revenue. The Department of Revenue then does whatever calculations they have to do, and they send it back to the county assessor. Then the county assessor gives it to us. Then we can do our calculations so that we can get the extensions done. Then we hand it off to the treasurer, who is the one who actually sends out the bills, collects the money, and so forth. And then we start all over again. So I just want everybody to be very clear that this process is not a one-stop shop in the county clerk's office. There's several county entities and entities outside of the county that are part of this process. So, what was next there? Continuous. So we have many partners in this process, and we are going to do a series of town halls so that community members can learn more about the process, ask questions, and get help if needed. We will be announcing formal plans in the coming weeks, and we hope that members of the county board who have concerns or would like more information will attend. And I want Jenna to take it from here and just explain an example to you all that she put up, that she worked through.
Hello. Okay. So one of the things that I've noticed in the onslaught of calls that we get in the office is that people they don't naturally know how the tax cycle works, as none of us do, the nitty-gritty pieces of it. But when you talk to them about it, they're interested, they're intrigued, they want to know. So I worked on this little piece that I think we should include in the town hall that kind of breaks it down and personalizes it. So if you look at our county, there are 35 townships, and it's kind of a lot to think about. You've got 35 townships, you have these crazy numbers and, estimated values of, land and parcel numbers and all these kind of crazy terms. But if you break it down, we're gonna kind of go through and personalize it. So if we zoom in on Cunningham Township, which is also the city of Urbana, we can kind of, start to see the detail in the maps. This is one of the very old maps. And then if we zoom in even more, this is tax code 9303, as we all know. So, God, tough room. So essentially what happens is in each township or in each taxing district, they request to our office, hey, we want to tax this many dollars to the people who live in our district. And then the people who live in all of these districts combined, any one home is within at least 10 taxing districts. So, and then any of the homes or the locations, the geographical locations that sit within these very specific combination of tax districts are given a number. So this particular geographic location is 9303, and they pay into the listed taxing districts. The taxing districts are given rates, and then those added up are the rates given, or the rate given to the homes in, is this a, no, it's not. So kind of the top left corner of that map. So it kind of, these are very specific locations. So they're, if we zoom in a little bit more, this is just what that map looks like if you color in all the taxing districts. So any home, again, it pays on the layers and layers of taxing districts that they benefit from in the county. So once again, we're gonna personalize it a little bit more. This particular person's home is worth $48,610 at the assessed value is assessed at 1/3 the value of market price, fair market price, and the tax code is 9303. So above, again, the list is there which means their tax rate is going to be 10.3310%. So if we want to do the math on Jane Smith's home, it's the total assessed value times the rate equals the total taxes owed. So we took $48,610 times 0.103310 equals $5,022 owing in taxes for the year. You would split that in two for each installment throughout the year, and the treasurer would collect on that. So this is kind of just a way to simplify it and personalize it in ways that I don't think have really been done ever. Because I know that, you know, learning all of this has been just the deepest dive of, you know, any kind of research I've ever done. So, yeah.
All right, so just wrapping up here, the tax calculations and voting equipment are not partisan issues. These are things I am now in charge of as a Champaign County Clerk, and I am interested in working together toward common goals to give the community the best service we can. I am interested in positive paths forward. Despite all the challenges we've faced since taking office, 85% loss of staff, or to make it plain, 72 years of experience walking out the door, running the consolidated election, and processing tax extensions with mostly new staff, we have remained positive and we have persevered. I am incredibly proud of my team and deeply appreciative of the support we have received from the county staff and members of the community. Our motto is simple: we don't worry, we prepare. If you have any questions, you all can reach out to me or to reach out to Jenna. I would love to answer any questions, take another tour, whatever it is that you all want to do. Thank you very much. Any questions? Yeah.
Mr. Storr?
Not a question, but a comment. I was at a Lincoln Heritage Resource Conservation and Development conference last week and asked one of the members from Coles County if their tax bills had been delivered or sent out yet, and he said, nope, not yet. They were kind of waiting on the multiplier from the state. So we are not alone in having a delay in our tax bills go out.
Okay, Mr. Vajaspati?
Yeah, I just want to say, you know, especially after you showed that stuff, I really appreciate the amount that you've had to learn, you know, about this stuff in the last, you know, very quickly on the job. And so, you know, I just want to say, you know, great work, and I appreciate the work you're doing, and I'm glad I don't have to do it.
Thank you.
Mr. Clemens?
I think when I made my comments in communications a couple months ago, I did not accuse your office of doing anything wrong or being the problem. I simply wanted to get out there to the taxing bodies that your tax bills are going to be late. You're not going to receive your revenue as soon as you think you will. To be prepared. I don't think I named the clerk's office as being the problem when I did that.
So I was trying to be very specific or very broad. I didn't want to get into any specific back and forth type of thing. The question was raised in the public body at a meeting prior to you ever coming to talk to me and ask me any questions. And you and I spoke about that afterwards. The proper procedure would have been for you to come and talk to me first, get your questions answered, and then if you felt like I was not answering your questions adequately, to take it to the body or to the public at that particular point. But I didn't get that courtesy from you at that particular time. Now, we have worked things out since then. I've held right here in this room, we did an educational piece for the road commissioners because Brad was coming to the office saying, hey, look, you guys are changing everything, and we went back and forth saying, Brad, I'm not changing anything. The county board voted for DevNet. I'm just implementing what I was told to implement. We went round and round, but I think we came to a conclusion. I'm simply using this example, Brad, to bring back to this body that questions are being raised publicly without coming to talk to me first. So that's what I'm saying about that. That's all that I mean. So I'm not coming here to be antagonistic. certainly, I'm just here to share this information, and I think it's helpful for us to learn it. The road commissioners were in a tough spot. They didn't know what was going to come on the back end of DevNet, what the reallocation forms were going to look like. They had legitimate questions. So we did everything we could to address that. Some of them were pretty upset about it. I ain't going to tell you everything that they said, and all that type of stuff is not necessary. But we fought through it, took it on the chin and said, okay, we'll be the ones who come up and do this education. So that's why I wanted to raise those concerns.
Mr. Young?
Thank you. Mr. Aaron and young lady, I just want to be short and brief, commend you on what you're doing. I think you're doing a good job. I like the piece about educating people and being transparent. That's a good thing because my understanding of democracy, that's what it's all about. You have to educate, and it doesn't never stop to educate people with nuances and new ideas. We all don't think the same way, but that's a good thing, to be transparent and inclusive. So I commend you on what you're doing.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to new business item F, adoption of resolution. Can I get a motion for adoption of resolution 2019-140, authorizing an intergovernmental agreement between the Illinois Department of Healthcare and Family Services and the Champaign County State's Attorney?
Second.
Mr. Summers, Mr. Rosales, and is the State's Attorney still here? No, sorry, she's gone. I believe this is a continuation of a program they already have. Any discussion? Okay, those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we are at the end. Is there any other business before the board? Seeing none, this meeting is adjourned.
This was a test run on appointments.